Thanks for listening. Welcome to The Prize Inside. A chiropractor's journey in everyday holistic health and vitality. Here, your host, Dr. Jeremy Myers, delves into the remarkable journeys of everyday people who have embraced the path to health and healing. Through his practice, Dr. Jeremy encounters inspiring stories of profound transformation and the power of true healing within each of us. Stay tuned as we discuss various holistic topics and unlock the healing potential that lies within us all.
Join us as we explore the prize inside, looking at holistic health and extraordinary human potential.
Hi there.
Hi there.
The Prize Inside.
Welcome to The Prize
A podcast
Inside.
dedicated to holistic living and unlocking your human potential.
All right, welcome everybody. Sorry about that little tweaky there, but welcome to The Prize Inside, the 1% Tribe edition. Tonight, we're going to talk about a really cool word in chiropractic. It kind of goes throughout. I don't know if I can give the history to chiropractic to vitalism, but the vitalistic perspective is something that hit me pretty hard because one of my mentors this last week, Dr. Guy Reichman, he was our president of our school at one point, phenomenal teacher of chiropractic stuff. But one of the things that I was super impressed with, as he got older, he got more and more into, the vitalistic perspective. He was always that way. And when you understand what we're going to talk about tonight with vitalism, it helps discern. Remember, the reason I picked this is like in thoughts. Okay. One of the things we've done as a society is that we've created patterning into our brains that everything is essentially in all of our medical, and any way you're ever going to fix anything medically is through materialism type thinking. Okay. And so with that, it comes with its own set of challenges because it shows you like this crazy limitation to who we are when in fact, healthcare is a fantastic, the health of the human body is never a parts only kind of situation and system. What we've done is it's in our chiropractic thought, we have learned the wrong system. It's kind of like going to school and learning the absolutely wrong thing. We learned sick care that says that the parts just need to be replaced and they can never be as good as, as they can. We are the only one with each cell has its own built-in AI, self-learning organism, right? So each cell of our body has this self-learning situation. And in fact, I was just listening to a podcast this morning. There are some doctors out there. I don't know much about this. This is brand new tech, so I'm super curious about it. They've said they've kind of discovered a way to kind of open up the aging, what they call is I think what they're talking about is the telomeres. The telomeres in a way to access them better. And we'll have to see where that plays out. But the idea of that this how do people recover from things, right? And that's where vitalism can be such a cool thing. And the biggest thing is the perspective. The biggest thing is the perspective. So, like, what I mean by that is the problem with the materialism as our model for sick care is that it takes the vitalistic aspect out. And that's what chiropractic wants to aspire to you guys, like aspire to me each and every day. And that's the 1% tribe. 1% tribe, we're trying to improve our cellular health 1% a day. If that cell stays as healthy as it possibly could in that environment in that day, then you can literally have self-healing within you. Okay. So with that said, hopefully I can break this down pretty good. I thought this was a great word for tonight's stuff. And I have a few good videos that I want to show you of some great speakers in this environment. So with that said, before you go, subscribe to our newsletter. I'm getting pretty good at it. We do a Tuesday newsletter every week. tribe1.substack.com gets you on that newsletter list. And I send out, sometimes I'll do transcripts of talks. Sometimes I will do or just notifications when we go Sunday and Wednesday. I'm waiting patiently. I have a guest for Wednesday for Whole Health Weekly. Don't miss that one. Whole Health Weekly, 8:30 Wednesday night. Let me see. I want to make sure. I may have gotten a confirmation. Let me look. All right. Perfect. Cool. I got her. Okay. So I can talk a little bit about it. This lady I'm bringing on is going to talk a little bit about why and how she creates her own flower. So this is going to be pretty epic. So, and we'll tell you the reason why and how you would actually do that. So I'm super pumped. I got another one coming in mid-March as we go. But remember, tribe1.substack.com gets you on your newsletter list. It's just an email list. Won't hit you too much on that. Remember to subscribe because I'm stuck. I'm stuck in the Rumble at 74. I want to get to 100. That'd be so cool. I don't know what it does if I get to 100, but so get on the Prize Inside, a chiropractor's journey on Rumble. Love to get to 100, 3 digits. And then the final one is the Prize Inside, a chiropractor's journey on YouTube. That one's on there. We're gaining a little bit on that one as well. So without further ado, let's start talking about vitalism. Okay. Let me get rid of these banners. Tribe1.substack.com. You know where it is. Embracing vitalism, innate healing, and peak vitality. So tonight, what we're going to go over is the vitalistic approach to health. Okay. The vitalistic perspective. What does that word mean? Okay. And a lot of people will be like woo woo, but I'm over woo woo. 25 years in practice. The woo-woo is real. I don't care. Scientific validation be God. We are a spiritual, energetic, with parts. It all is there. It's obvious. There's so much evidence for that. So just never fall for we aren't the sum of those parts. So, and then the biggest thing is understanding what I'm trying to assess. The vitalistic perspective is a different thought process. So remember when I talk about epigenetics. Epigenetics are these programs that run in the back of your mind. Sometimes you're born with them, right? So you have these programs that are inherently in there, okay? And then sometimes we build them over time. So we run these programs, okay? Subconscious programs, think that way. So if from the day we were born, that we were taught that when the kid that's 4 gets a cut and you put the Band-Aid on the cut, what healed the child? Was it the Band-Aid? That is as easy and as simple as sometimes this can get. The healing capacity of the body, the cells of the body healed the child. But what do we tell them? The kiss, or I'd rather have the kiss or the Band-Aid. The Band-Aid healed you up. Okay. And so think about that. You already added an outside in influence, like at that early age. Nobody's fault of anything. It's just the way it is. Okay. So that's materialism. So that's why we have to think in terms of how are we going to introduce this into our human perspective. So what is vitalism? Vitalism is the belief that living organisms are sustained by non-physical or vital force, life energy, greater than just chemical or mechanical processes. Okay. The whole is always greater than the sum of its parts. Life involves an organizing intelligence. In chiropractic, vitalism contrasts the mechanism, right? The mechanistic thinking, body as a machine, and emphasizes the self-regulation and self-healing within each person. Okay. This is traced back to ancient philosophies, Aristotle's, 19th century thinkers like this guy named Emanuel Swedenborg, influencing chiropractors founders. Okay. So a lot of chiropractic is all about this one thing. And now it's mainstream, and chiropractic, D.D. Palmer, a lot of those guys were the ones that created these definitions. Innate intelligence, we're going to talk intelligences, is the same as saying vitalistic. So what we are saying is this body is an inherently intelligent organism. Okay. All the physical parts and pieces communicate with each other. Okay. And so that communication, because there's energy produced and everything else, there's this inherent intelligence that works within. The easiest way I usually tell people, innate intelligence told us when we were born that we were born into a situation where we had a lot of gravity. Okay. So we have a lot of gravity. So what did the innate intelligence of our body, all these cells do? It built really strong bones to be able to stand up in this gravity. Okay. So what would happen, do you think, if a human was born, let's say, on the moon with no gravitational pull? Inherently, you would know that, let's say the baby was born. Do you think the bone structure, the skeletal bone structure, would be enough to take on the gravitational forces of the earth? You'd inherit go, no, because there was nothing evolving those cells, allowing those cells to have that education, right? To intelligently design. It doesn't make sense to make big, thick bones in an area with no gravity, right? So that's the innate intelligence. The innate intelligence gets to choose some of that. Okay. What are you choosing? So, and then the environment that we're in is this universal intelligence that surrounds us. The gravity would be nature's force, right? So a natural energy that's coming down on us would create that energy. We would call that a universal intelligence and a universal law. Okay. So that's where the physics laws against the human body. Our job is to keep our consciousness, our spirit and our consciousness. Our job is to make sure that our innate intelligence, all of these cells of the human body, have the best chance to express themselves when we're under these universal forces. Okay. And of course, the only way you can do that is get rid of three things: thoughts, like it's interferences with thoughts, toxins, and traumas, right? So those three things we want to avoid as much as we can, right? or fight through and get them out of our environment daily, right? And that's what our job is. Okay. So innate intelligence and vitality. If you understand the innate intelligence, then you have to think that our body is run in this vitalistic perspective, that our body is more than our body's processes or physiology is more than the sum of its parts. And I think that's where, Dr. Emily's anatomy and physiology teacher part of the time at the local community college. And she asked, I was like, I'm very close to doing it. When Lexi gets a graduator or something, she's like, would you ever come back and do like adjunct faculty? I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely would. The physiology thing was just mind blowing because each time they come up with new cellular structures and you can't ever understand, like, how does your body actually how does your heart just pump perfectly? How does it know to do what exactly it's doing? And the only answer that you can give it is that we have a vitalistic body that's run on the communication patterns of the nervous system through our spine and nervous system, through hormones, through chemicals. All of those things lead to this perfect system. Okay. So, man, you get me all crazy on. Sorry if I get too much on my soapbox on this stuff. Vitalism isn't just an old idea. It's the lens through which chiropractic views health. As D.D. Palmer, the chiropractic founder, wrote in The Chiropractor's Adjuster, life is but the expression of spirit through matter. This sets the stage for innate intelligence. And so if you want any history, oh man, it's D.D. Palmer's The Chiropractor Adjuster, 1910, that was written. Think about how cool that is. Okay. Let's go to the next slide. Okay. So this is the one I was looking for. Okay. So vitalism versus mechanism. Okay. So vitalism versus mechanism. On the green side is what you would say in the vitalistic perspective. The mechanistic is on the opposite. They both, right now we're in a versus situation, but just remember, we have both of these situations going all the time simultaneously. So life force or innate intelligence is on the vital. So that's what we believe in the vitalistic perspective, that there's this life force or innate intelligence within us. It's an invisible organizing force that animates and heals all living systems. The body is a machine, is the mechanism side. The body operates as a complex mechanical system with interacting parts. Could you agree with that? Absolutely. The hard part is, though, and this is what a lot of my dogmatic science people run into, is that you keep running into breaking down the system more and more and more, finding out that we're closer and closer and closer to the energetic side of things than materialistic side of things or mechanistic side of things. So that's always an interesting part. Vitalism has holistic and interconnected parts. The mind, body, and spirit form one integrated, inseparable whole. In a mechanistic situation, parts work independently. Organs and systems are separated components, each with defined roles. Okay. In vitalism, energy flows through every system. In mechanism, chemicals and physical processes run the show. And I can give an argument for both. That's what's so brilliant. That's why it's almost overwhelming to even think that it could be just mechanistic, right? So vitalism believes that the body heals itself. Given proper conditions, the body restores its own natural equilibrium. I need some help there. No, I'm just kidding. And then mechanistically, in that world, you want to treat the symptom, right? Diagnose, target specific malfunctioning components for the targeted repair. So using chemicals outside of these things and use it. Does it work? Yep. It absolutely does. Right? Now, the hard part is like deducing that none of the other things get in the way. But if you notice, by focusing, well, we'll talk about that in a minute. By focusing and isolating on one area, okay, before we finish this, in a mechanistic perspective, because they are focused and targeted on one direct area, what occurs, and we need these people, by the way, it's not a dig upon that. You want your cardiologist to be really good cardiologist, right? But the biggest thing is when they mechanistically go in and fix and just repair the part that's broken. That is what's led us to the sick care model of chasing these things for decades. Because the problem is like, if I don't look at the body holistically, if I come in and fix this part that's broken, why is the part broken? Is there something else going on? Then maybe it would give us better insight into why that part's broken. Good example. See it all the time. Kidney stones. Kidney stones, the medical way to do it is to, once they occur, and I don't disagree with it, is to go in and either I think it's ultrasound wave therapy or something. Sometimes they get a pill, something to pass the kidney stone. The funniest conversation, though, I have is every time I go, so what did they tell you to do after the kidney stone passes? Oh, nothing. Just wait for the next one. Correct. So one of the things I would suggest is if my body was producing kidney stones, I would ask which kidney. That would be the number one. Or, where is it at? Is there a lot of them? What is going on? Because the kidney stone is a cry for help. It's a cry for that area. It's probably not working properly, regardless of if you want to put a specific on it. That kidney needs some help. And so what I would suggest is start looking up things that are good for your kidney, right? So maybe looking into your, shoot. All my herbs. I can't believe I can't remember that name. Holy crap. It's it must be a choleretics and cholagogues. Excuse me. Choleretics, cholagogues might be a thing. What herbs would help you, get to that next level of making sure you have a healthy kidney. But every time I've met a kidney stone person, I ask them what kind of supplement regime they're on, or what vitamins, or what herbs, or what foods, what movement patterns. Nothing changes. So what do you think is going to happen with the kidney stone? Just saying. All right. So with that said, let's keep going. One more in the vitalistic perspective. Mind, body, spirit united is in the vitalistic perspective. So we want to bring all those together. And then in a mechanistic, you want to look at measurable, predictable, and fixed. So a lot of times they want measurable and predictable results. Do you blame somebody for looking at the mechanism? No, not at all. In fact, using the mechanism side in a very good way with an understanding of vitalistic perspective is a really good way to go. At our office, we'd use a nutritional blood work, right? The nutritional blood work isn't for diagnosing them with some kind of condition. It's to see what we can do to help improve the systems by looking at different a measurement that could be really, really good. Okay. All right. Hopefully you guys are liking this. Okay. So the vitalistic philosophy in chiropractic history. So D.D. Palmer discovered chiropractic in 1895. Chiropractic emerged from the vitalistic principles blended with science and spirituality. Palmer's view is the body is animated by the vital force disrupted by spinal misalignments, subluxations, which chiropractors then restore. Yeah, so let's talk about that. So in chiropractic, we believe that the nervous system, the spine, and all the related joints, if they can flow properly, if they can flow on a regular basis in a good state, in a communication pattern, we literally can improve your vitalistic perspective by just doing that, which is really not, not rocket science when you think about it. However, those little tiny traumas, toxins, thoughts every single day can knock that spinal and those spinal joints into discombobulation, or what we call subluxation. Okay. Think of alignment of your car. If you drive a car in Michigan, every time you hit a pothole, you wince a little. Well, the reason you wince a little, maybe not just because of your tire, but your alignment gets boom, boom, boom. And even if it's a little one, right? That little wear and tear doesn't mean anything happened. But that's where chiropractic can be really good, and regular chiropractic, where we're more of a pain-free model, where you're coming in just to get adjusted because you want to get free of these subluxations and make sure that the communications are going fantastic, is the best by far way to do things. Okay. All right. So let's talk about innate intelligence. So take your vitalism, and let's go into this portion. Okay. And then from here, I want to show you guys a few videos as well. So understanding innate intelligence. Innate intelligence is the body's inborn organizing life force. Okay. A segment of the universal intelligence, like we talked about in the beginning, the cosmic ordering principle. So think gravity. Okay. That coordinates all functions for health and healing. So how we believe is the cells, the communication pathways, the aura, the chakra, the energy, all of those things. It flows through the nervous system. Okay. So it gets all these sensors. You have the sensing part of the nervous system, and you have the physical, like the activity part of the nervous system. So you have the in and out. So a lot of this innate intelligence flows through the nervous systems. These subluxations, or these joint malfunctions, let's call it that, joint nervous system movement malfunctions, interfere, causing this thing, like I say all the time, this dis-ease instead of ease, right? Instead of ease and flow, we have dis-ease, disease, right? And so our idea is to make sure that your spine is working at proper functioning. And then when that occurs, we can begin the process of self-healing. Okay. But it's not just biology. It's the divine spark. It's the soul. That's where the adaptation, repair, and vitality comes from. Okay. I love this. I love this analogy. And then we'll go into some cool videos where you don't have to listen to me talk all the time. But the modern analogy that I love is it's called like the body's autopilot for homeostasis, but with a vitalistic, intelligent essence. So essentially, this vitalistic perspective is, imagine if you never had to install your thermostat in your house ever. You didn't even have to touch it. And essentially you don't now, right? You set the little thing, let's say it's 70 and in the winter, and let's say 70 when it gets cool out. I don't know. So AC and heat turns on. It's a very basic model of how the vitalistic perspective works, right? How does your body stay at 98.6 degrees every day? And then when we get sick, we're like, ooh, it's 100. Think about that. Every day, other than the day you're sick, it gets to 98.6, or it stays right there, regulated completely. Maybe up and down a little bit, whatever, right? But the day that you need it to go to 100 to kill off the bug, it goes up to 100 and something, right? That's pretty freaking impressive, actually. If you ask me, I don't know. I think that is phenomenal. So yeah, biggest thing is just understanding, that the vitalistic perspective takes it all together. It doesn't mean you have to throw the mechanistic perspective out of the bathwater. I can tell you, chiropractors have learned to integrate into the sick care model we currently have. The part we don't love is that we, diagnose every condition and we don't look for the natural self-healing remedies first. And I think if that actually started to change in the world we are in health and healing, we'd have a much better opportunity for it. Okay. So this is one more quote and then I'll get into, let's do our videos actually. So let me get into that. I got some pretty good ones, but I wanted to start with this one guy. Let's talk. This guy's pretty cool. Okay. So let's go to this first. Sorry.
So hard to choose who to go to next. When I have a ton of these already mapped out and ready to go. So get ready to listen to these and share the heck out of these. Let's do these chiropractic legends the honor of continuing to spread their stories, and not just their stories. I'm always going to share their stories and what I've learned from them in a very actionable, strategic way. I'm in practice. Everything I love to learn, not from a, oh, that's cool standpoint. I love to learn like, oh my gosh, that stuff works. I'm going to do that and do as much of it as I can because it clearly works for them. That's the framework with which I learn and do. So it's the framework with which I teach. So you can do. So anyways, Dr. Fred Barge and all the people that are going to make these Friday episodes, they absolutely deserve their stories to never, ever, ever go quiet. They deserve the strategies, the philosophies, the lessons they taught us as chiropractors, literally, actually for generations to come. It is essential that these lessons continue for generations to come. So can you do chiropractic a favor? And if there's ever a family practice episode you share, make it be these first Friday lessons from the legends. Please put this on your Instagram stories. Please post it up on your Facebook page. Please text it out to other chiropractors.
This guy I might bring on. I just came across his stuff, but he picks Dr. Fred Barge. I actually had him in class. An amazing man. Dr. Geimer, who I learned from, knew Dr. Barge as well. And one of the things that was fascinating, he has this book called Scoliosis that we'll be going over at some point. Because some of these guys are just master thinkers, absolute master thinkers.
Right. Meow. I will totally allow you to hit pause on this episode and do two things. One, if you have not read already Dr. Fred Barge's book, Life Without Fear. There's a bunch of other amazing ones, but I'm going to share primarily from Life Without Fear right here. Go order that book and then come back to the episode. Okay. And then also please share it. Please put it up on your socials or please send it out to your friends. Let's get into it. I was joking before. If you've never heard an audio, if you've never heard of like an on purpose audio, or go to YouTube, I'm sure they're there, and check out some Fred Barge lectures and audios, because on 7 miles to the north is where livers are tested to their ultimate capacity. You want to test adaptability, live the Wisconsin lifestyle. And so anyways, paying for chiropractors, I can only imagine the blessing it would have been to be his patient. There's no wonder that
I forgot
in Mount Orab, Wisconsin's, and Davenport, Iowa's, and South Dakota, Doctor. We actually reference that one a lot in our clinical certification program. One Cause, One Cure. Oh, another legendary book I could do a whole episode about. From the Far Side of the Green Books, and Subluxation, what it is, what it isn't, and what to do about it. So what his writings focused on was, without any shadow of a doubt, his lead horse, his trump card was vitalistic. Big picture philosophy of chiropractic. He really knew that everything we do was about tapping into innate intelligence and the body's self-healing capacity. And then he also knew, if you take all of that bigness, you take everything we can talk about with vitality, and today's world, people kind of love salutogenesis, bit of a weird word, right? Close cousin weird word to innate intelligence and vitalistic. I wish they were all a little bit more mainstream. They're not, but we can still take our words, put it into theirs. That's what he was really good at, and make sense of it. But his central theme was vertebral subluxation. Subluxation is the worst. You want to talk about how life really is lived, full health, full expression, full vitality. You got to get rid of the number one thing that limits that, which is subluxation. And he was a very strong critic, thankfully. And man, could we use him today. He was a strong critic of the medicalization of chiropractic, which is saying, hey, we're just spinal therapists. We're just limited. I mean, you would have to literally not understand neurophysiology. Like if you even, so we teach a 14D model now as we kind of roll into 2026 with PX.
Okay. Sorry, guys. So that was really good. The big thing is like, he is right. He is so right. When you come to my office, you have choices. I believe in one of the things that we have to do is we have to understand that most people, like in chiropractic, we have to understand that most people are going to come at chiropractic from a materialistic standpoint, and which makes us back pain headache doctors. Once the back pain and headache is gone, or it didn't help, or those kind of situations, then it becomes whatever that materialistic category would be. Vitalistic is such a different role. I see it every day. It's a choice, though, and some people feel it, understand it, start growing with it pretty regular in their lifestyle. Once they feel the innate intelligence of your body start to heal up correctly, it changes your life. And one of the things that happened to me, even as a young, football player, the reason I went back wasn't because it improved my back pain. It made me stronger. It made me faster. It did all the alls. I slept better. How did one chiropractic adjustment be able to do that? Because it unlocked this innate intelligence within me to create this self-healing that took care of a problem while I moved. That's what we're talking about. So I thought that was a pretty good. He talks about Fred Barge. I'm going to dive in a little bit deeper. He was a little telling about the book, but not really. Let me look at the next one. Let me give you a better one. Share screen. Let's go into. I like this guy. This guy was pretty.
This records conversations better than taking notes ever could. This is Pocket, an AI note taker that records conversations.
Vitalism holds that there is a life force or energy that animates living organisms. This life force, known by chiropractors as innate intelligence, is believed to be responsible for the maintenance of health and the healing of the body, and is regulated by the nervous system. Vitalism has a long history in healthcare and has been a fundamental concept in many traditional medical systems, including traditional Chinese medicine and naturopathy. In chiropractic, vitalism is central to the philosophy and practice of the discipline. Chiropractors believe that the body has an innate ability to heal itself, and that this healing power is directed by innate intelligence. This innate intelligence is seen as the force that flows through the nervous system and is responsible for coordinating all the body's functions and responses. According to the principles of vitalism, innate intelligence is able to maintain health and promote healing by adapting to the changes of the body's environment and by responding to the needs of the body. When there's interference to the flow of the innate intelligence, such as a vertebral subluxation, the body's ability to heal itself is compromised. Chiropractors use various techniques to remove the vertebral interference upon the nervous system. By removing the interference to the nervous system, the innate intelligence of a human is freed up to do its job properly. Chiropractic care aims to promote the body's natural healing abilities and to support optimal health and wellness. The connection between chiropractic and vitalism is a central aspect of the philosophy and practice of chiropractic. By understanding the importance of the innate intelligence and the vital force that animates the body, chiropractors are able to provide a holistic, patient-centered care that emphasizes the body's natural ability to heal itself.
Good job. I thought that video was really good. So a lot of these different perspectives, these are all the same, right? So chiropractic, the idea is to allow that body to be as free and natural as it possibly can. And that is the goal, right? Chiropractic, holistic, all of these things. The big key is that it never stops, because health, vitalistic health, is a journey. Mechanistic health, if you're hoping that there's a part that gets to be made, is the different philosophy that gets in there. So, it's one of those things where the hard part about the sick care model is we don't do anything health, let's say. We're not taught to improve our health each and every day a little bit, right? And because we don't get taught that, then we are hoping some doctor or somebody is going to come and save the world with the next best, latest and greatest. And they're going to come up with all kinds of stuff. You probably have robotic different, let's say, instead of taking, kidney supplements, something good for your kidney, we'll just get a new one and it'll be some kind of robot kidney. And, that'll be the thing. It's going to keep happening more and more. They already have a pancreas. Now, that one, I always keep track of all the new tech, because some of those, like a juvenile, I don't know if you know type 1 and type 2 diabetes. There's one you're actually genetically get, and it's a lot more serious for the child. And they actually created a computer pancreas. So that stuff is going to happen. Now, if they start letting, people that have created their own type 2 diabetes without changing their mindset on like what to eat and all those kind of things, that could be a big thing. So that's where the rubber hits in the vitalistic. Maybe you eat very well, but your environment sucks. It's like you're in front of a computer all the time. You're around toxic smells. And so your toxins are crazy. So all of a sudden you're like, why am I type 2 diabetic? I eat, veggies all the time. Well, maybe your spine has been out of whack for a very long time and the communication pattern's not correct. That's actually a thing. Maybe you live in you work in a tough, toxic environment. Maybe you have high stress all the time where you haven't understood that stress can cause the same reaction. Isn't that fascinating? So sometimes when the mechanistic wants it to be certain things, it always brings me up a story of a good friend. Happens to be a medical doctor. And one day, and he just high active, like high stress, loves his job, but he liked I think he liked the inherent stress almost of it, because he just lived in that moment. He worked out like that too. So he loved the high intensity stress kind of workouts as well. Well, one day, and me and him always battled back and forth. He loved getting adjusted, and I loved trying not to ever see him. that was the running joke. But one time I had to go in. I had some insurance thing where it was like a wellness thing, and I don't go. This is like 10 years. I don't do all that stuff very much. And so I go in there randomly. He's like, "What are you doing here?" I go, "Well, my insurance says I got to do it just to get a check or something." He's like, "Well, you got to have, is there anything wrong?" I go, "You put down that I'm chubby if you want, like overweight or something." So he puts that down on the chart. Well, I'm not a small guy. And he always thought, with the job I have and I'm adjusting people all the time. So he puts the blood pressure cuff on me and he finds out I'm like 120/80. And he goes, "What the heck, dude? I thought and I was chubbier than I am now, actually." He goes, "I thought I'd get like, the overweight, chubby, blood pressure reading, and we start laughing. I go, "I can show you how to not have that." And I just jokingly, we go down the road. Well, he goes, "No, seriously, like, how do you do that?" Because I've had guarantee I would have wrote down if I didn't see you, I would have put high blood pressure or this, and this. And I said, biggest thing is the understanding that I know that I do meditation every day. I do prayer, meditation, all of those things. And so I believe and I don't do it to lower my blood pressure. I do it for the overall energetics of the innate body being able to heal itself. And so he was like, whoa. So he was telling me his cholesterol is pretty high because of just the way he lives in that higher negative stress environment. I said, do it. And he didn't tell me much. He didn't tell me the number until later, but after this conversation. So we go, he's like, okay, I'll do it. So I go 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes. Pick an app on your phone. I like this one. If you guys ever need one, Calm is really good. There's lots of different ones. Oh yes, Julie rocks. So you Calm and all those things, right? And so you're just kind of like getting in that 10-minute meditation and just let your body kind of go, right? And get into that mindset, and you will feel the healing capacity. So probably 2 months goes by. He comes sprinting in my office and he goes, "What the heck, man?" That's not what he actually said, but he goes, "What the heck? I don't even understand." I go, "What?" He goes, "Look at this." So he shows me a number of his cholesterol in the very high, in the threes. Let's say that, in the threes. Okay. That was before he started meditation. And then after 2 months of the meditation, he had reduced his own number from above 300 to in the 220, almost gone at the 200 or whatever it is, whatever the new number they come up with, right? And he was so fascinated. He's like, "Oh my God." I go, "I know. Here's the problem." So here's the problem with my medical doctors. They have these trigger numbers that they have to do something about. They can't just not do something. But if the patient is sitting in a mechanistic society, the only answer they can give you is some kind of chemical, physical piece, right? If the medical doctor was able to work on a bunch of patients that needed or that thought in the vitalistic perspective, then you can have a whole different conversation. One of the things that I've thought that doctors, especially holistic doctors, haven't thought through long enough is we haven't actually been good at teaching our patients in the communities that the vitalistic perspective is real. And we have to do that. That's why anytime we talk about vitalistic perspective, no one ever bats an eye when you're talking about Chinese medicine. Do you? It's instant in your head. You're already knowing, oh, Chinese, I'm going to be in vitalistics. The spiritual piece is going to be there. They're going to use these little, let's say it's acupuncture. You're okay with that. You see what I'm saying? We've taken our Western philosophy of this sick care model and just tried to ram everything in there that it has to be materialistic. And then we find these little miracles on the side, like chiropractic and Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic medicine. And for me, it was herbals, right? All these different pathways that people could take. And as long as you learn that healing practices just keep growing and growing on themselves, it's going to be a fantastic day for the old vitalistic. Julie, it's good to hear from you. Are you back in town? Let me know. This is Julie. I know why I go to chiropractor. That's right. I know the vitalistic perspective. That's what it's about, right? And that's why I love this one. Okay. So let's give you some key chiropractic founders quotes, and then we'll end it soon here so that you guys aren't here all night. That which I named innate is a segment of that intelligence which fills the universe. That was D.D. Palmer. That's what we talk about with the universal. And remember, this is 1910. Okay. So some of the words are a little different than we'd use today, but that is universal intelligence. From B.J. Palmer, his son, within you is a grain of universal power. We call that power innate intelligence. How we use that, right? Innate intelligence is the intelligence that we communicate with this universal intelligence. R.W. Stevenson. R.W. Stevenson is the one big one that created some of the best books in chiropractic called the Green Books. And the chiropractic textbook is the one. It's with the 33 chiropractic principles that I bring up. That's where that came from. The expression of this intelligence through matter is the chiropractic meaning of life. So we're trying to get this intelligence to express itself perfectly through the matter. And chiropractic uses the spinal joints and all the joints of the human body. Vitalism's role. These ideas position chiropractic as a facilitator of the body's innate wisdom, not a cure for symptoms, but a facilitator for the body's innate wisdom. Oh, it's probably my favorite quote of all time. Honestly, that is what chiropractic is all about. Okay. Oh, I got one. We'll end with this guy. This guy had some really good. I want to see. I got one more video for us because, like, tonight, I think that's it. Yeah, we're good. Okay. Because I went a little, I knew it'd be a little, I could talk on this. Us chiropractors can talk on certain subjects very much, and innate intelligence is one of those. So let me bring up. All right, let me do. Let's use this guy is Jim Sigafus.
And I looked at him, square in the eyes, and I said, sure. So he took this child in and laid her down, put her on the table.
Okay, hang on.
And doing it with absolute love and passion. And
so he's going to talk about, you're going to miss a little bit of the story, but this is Dr. Jim Sigafus, and he was leaving his chiropractic clinic one day, and he is going to tell that story of this young child, okay? This young child that a parent had brought in at the end of his day.
Desire and being able to tenderly and gingerly become part of yours. And it's a miraculous thing that happens. It's a wonderful thing that happens. And it was on a Saturday, about 12:30, and I was leaving. And a man came in, and he was carrying a child. And he said, are you open? And I said, well, I was just leaving. I was just finishing up. And he said, could you see us? And I said, sure. So he took this child in and laid her down, put her on the table. And when he did, her wig fell off, and she was completely bald. And he looked at me and he said, my daughter, we just came from the hospital. She had her last battery of chemo. She has leukemia. And they said it's failing and she's going to die. He said, is there anything you can do? And I looked at him, square in the eyes, and I said this, I have no idea, but I can move the bone and God can do the healing. And he started to cry. And he said, why didn't anybody ever tell me this before? I said, I don't know, but let's do something. Let's check her out and let's start working with her. And I want you to come in every single day, and I mean every day, 7 days a week. And that means you're coming in on Sundays, holidays, it makes no difference. You're going to bring her in here, we're going to check her to see that she's holding the adjustment, because unless she holds the adjustment, she can't heal. It's impossible. He said, okay. So he brought her every day. And I had my office held 350 people in the waiting room. And I worked on a stage, not this high, but on a stage up front that was guarded in the front with beautiful lattice work. And there was a large television in the front that continued to play and promote and talk about chiropractic. I was in there adjusting people, and I heard a murmur. I stepped out and they said, "Doc, somebody in the back needs you." And I looked back and I couldn't see who it was, but it was somebody, and he was crying and he was howling. Sounded like he was in terrible pain. And they said, "You better go back." Would you ever have a dream? I know I've had these dreams where somebody's after you and you try to run away and your feet don't move. Did you ever do that? That's the way my feet were. I thought, God, I don't know who it is or what's going on, so I got to go back there. So I sort of struggled back. And as I got closer, I saw who it was. It was the child's father. And he was on his knees and he was crying. And I was going to go up and touch him and say, "Well, she's in a better place." You know, of course, I'm being a positive thinker. I was sure she was dead. But before I made a complete fool of myself and said, "She's in a better place. How do I know where she is?" He looked up at me and she said, "She's not here." I had that figured out. And as tears streamed down his eyes, he said, "Doc, she feels so good." She said, "Daddy, there's a dance over at Spring Grove High School. Can I go there? I can live this all over. Can I go there instead of to the doctor?" And he said, "Sure." So there she was at the dance, and there was Daddy on his knees in a prayerful attitude, crying and saying once again, "Why didn't somebody tell me this before?" And as they looked at him, there was a young lady there that did paintings, and we had panels, 4x8 panels, and she later, in watercolor, painted him on his knees with his hands up, saying, "Why didn't somebody tell me this before?"
All right. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. That was Dr. Sigafus. So one of the things that I do this night for, and I will always do, and probably as now that my kids are getting out of things, I'm going to do more and more. Julie, by the way, March 28th, we got a date. 2 to 5 is our anti-inflammatory talk. We're going to start with that. There'll be a lot of vitalistic stuff when we talk on the March 28th as well. But what we have to do is give people tools to understand how we're going to live this vitalistic perspective. Chiropractic is a huge part of that. It's a huge part. You know, it's especially if you start getting out of what they call the mechanistic aspect of the human body. When you think everything's body and parts, you're going to get sucked down this new tradition of, you know, new everything, chips in your brain, whatever, right? But we haven't even explored and understood the true human potential. The things that I've seen in my walks of life in every chiropractic clinic, the things that you're not supposed to get over and do, you know, it's incredible. It's incredible. And so understand this vitalistic. So what I'd like you to do this week is think that way. That's it. 1% this week is saying, you know what? Prayer can help me heal. You know, eating right can help me heal. Moving right can help me heal. Great thoughts can help me heal. They're not separate. They're not separate. All of those things, those spiritual energies, are literally parts of the sum of the whole. And if you start thinking vitalistically, and we start taking care of ourselves vitalistically, understanding what's the most important, what is it? The vitalistic portions of our body, the universal forces, making sure that your communication pathways are all good. So remember that, you know, and as people do, I'm going to get way busier. No, I'm just kidding. So it'll be crazy. Like it's crazy when people figure out this aspect of life in the chiropractic part, but there's so much more to it that you can do. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you Wednesday night for our talk on flour. I'm pretty pumped about that, actually. She's super nervous, but you know how me and you are. It's not, it won't be too bad. She can't do much worse than I do, obviously, right? That's what I'd say. All right, Julie, it's good to hear from you. And you guys have a great night and have a great week. Take it easy.